right, so today we are doing a reaction based on a comment we received from an artist we actually reacted to. We checked out an older song from the Stupendium, very popular nerdcore FNAF artist. One of the things we said in our reaction was that it's not for me. It's not exactly my cup of tea. It was a lot more musical. It was a little overly narrative and pretty on the nose, along with I had some production gripes, but I didn't say it was a bad thing. I totally understand that it is an older song. People learn as they go, etc., etc. And they commented on the reaction VOD saying, always anxious when I see reactions pop up to my earliest FNAF songs. They were made at a time when I was new to music, very early in my career before it was even a career, and was still really learning what I was doing. I'm sorry if this one wasn't for you, but in truth, it's not for me either. Haha. Haha. I have a Security Breach song I'm really proud of and a more recent remix of it too. If you want to see what a more current era Stupendium FNAF track sounds like. And this I totally get. And I really, really wanted to, drive home the point that I wasn't saying it was bad or anything like that. No reason for anxiety, first and foremost. Yeah, again, just because something's not for me doesn't mean it's good. Just because something was early in your learning stages, early, like you said, before it was your career, I think that's totally legit. I appreciate you watching, appreciate the comment, and yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and listen to it because the next song we're going to react to is from the Stupendium. Shout out Stupendium. And it's a heavily requested song called A Pizza the Action. So let's go ahead and jump in and see how much this artist has developed. See how much things have changed. Viewer discretion. Content warning.
Gregory, it looks like you are trapped here in the Pizzaplex until morning. To survive the night, you are going to need a kick-ass 80s action anthem.
That's funny. That
is not a show program I can provide. But there is someone who can.
Who could it be? So clearly we're going for 80s vibes, which is cool. Yeah, great synth choices, great sounds already.
So you tripped after dark in the park and your tasked with surviving the night.
Oh, it's heavy 80s. Cool. Okay, so right off the bat, I've seen comments about it. I know I pause a lot. I am gonna try and listen to longer chunks before the first pause because I know I tend to react to like the first few seconds because I will instantly have thoughts. But we are a verse in and already like bravo. I can see the improvement. Also genre-wise, I wasn't a huge 80s music fan, but it's definitely closer to my preferences. This is definitely a little more closer to home for me than, very narrative-driven musicals. I really like it. The melody is so sick. The melody's so good. It's kind of giving, like, because it's this modern 80s in the nerd space sound, I'm sure this has gotten a lot of comparisons to it, but it kind of has a twerp NSP feel, which I'm all about. They also have similar timbres to their voice, like their Stupendiums as well as Dan's voice have kind of similar natural tone to it. So I've never heard this song and yet it feels very familiar, which I'm into. Nice. Ooh, that pause is really cool. Okay, so we are still definitely very, very heavy into the lorgma. We are definitely still working with lyrics that without context just sound pretty nonsensical, which is totally fine. Again, like that is not a critique of good or bad. That is just a preference. And also I've said this before, I'll say it again. I totally understand that depending on the artist in this field, the amount they want to cater to the fans of this fandom, it just varies. So yeah, totally makes sense. But you know, out of context, the line, this line, without the context of FNAF, so many lyrics just sound insane. They sound insane, which, I don't know, just kind of funny. Very clever. Also, I know we don't often talk about the video, but as someone who is more of a fan who grew up with live action music videos, this is one of my favorite videos that we've reacted to so far, just because it's not just gameplay, nor is it just animation. Like, I understand the animation stuff does well. First of all, the combination of live action and animation is not only super unique, but it's also done really, really seamlessly. It's not jarring going from these live action shots to the 3D animation. Again, we don't usually talk about the video, but I just want to point that out. I love the production of the live action shots. Very professional, very polished, it's super clean. So good job. Also, this is a wild face to have paused on. Guitar solo. Get out of here. Powerful. Cool. I'm sorry, some of these lyrics are just so funny, not in a bad way. Just like they catch me off guard. Crust to crust is wild, is so insane. There's something almost unhinged about this. I'm definitely enjoying this a lot, though. This is super fun. This is a super fun track. Also, the harmonies are very understated, but very, very nice. It's hanging out on the root and matching only parts of the melody, which I really like. Some of the stuff we've talked about with melodies is sometimes it's just like a parallel third or a parallel fifth, where you're basically just copying the melody and moving it like up or down, but it's following the same patterns. Another layer to that is, instead of moving in the same direction, moving in the same pattern, you're taking the same rhythm of the melody and just having it hang out on a couple of notes, like on a single note in multiple layers to kind of make it a chord. With this one, from what I can hear, it's hanging out on one note as additional support. But it also sounds like, unless I'm mishearing, it also sounds like it's only coming in for a few select words. So instead of adding a harmony for every single syllable, it is actually just coming in for like the second half. So let's see. Let me go ahead. I think that's really cool. I really like that. It has that old school like robotic sound, like that aesthetic, that feel of what the past thought the future would look like. It's definitely got that like 80s future vibe. It's cool. Wow, so many layers there. Wow, there's like 4 in there. There was a really, really high one that was hard. It's like, la, 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 la. run it back one more time. Listen to those high notes. Listen for those, because there's already a 3-part da da na la la la. There's already a bunch of layers, but then there's this really, really high run. I think I'm hearing. La, da, da. Listen for that. That's so cool. And it's even cooler that it's so understated. I love when something that could stand on its own, when something is super like powerful, big, bright, shiny, impressive, is dialed back and used as backup. I think it's such a ballsy move. I think that's so cool.
Now maybe you could say of some violations, but it's not since Thursday we've had regulations. The go-karts are in, all things been cleaned.
That was a cool shot. That was a cool shot. Normally I don't talk about the video, but there, in addition to music production, there's a huge film nerd in me, and a lot of these shots are just jumping out. It's like, oh, it's so cool, because when you do CG, it's just like, okay, you know, I mean, it takes a ton of talent and a ton of know-how to do animations. For me, FNAF animations have kind of just become like, I don't know, I don't see a lot of stuff. But when it's live action shots, doing live action music videos, doing IRL stuff, knowing what goes into production, knowing how much gear needs to be physically set up and how long a lot of these shots probably took. Like, there's so many shots in this video. And unless it's like a really, really pocket-sized crew, because man, the quality of the video is so good that this had to have been, if this wasn't a multiple day shoot, I will be so goddamn impressed. The ball pit. That shot is so cool. That is so sick. There was also a zoom. Was the zoom digital? Okay, there was a little zoom. That could have been done digitally because it's so slight. Oh, that's so cool, though. That was such a cool shot. That was so many name drops. Again, we've already talked about that. Tons and tons of name drops. So yeah, we're leaning super hard, but also the fact that we are actually in an arcade, we're showing this. It's like, this is definitely like doubling down on that, which in this case, I think it's super appropriate for the song itself. I like barely even like paid attention to the production. I love the use of those tubs of cool voice choices. Cool voice. I mean, the choices for the percussion section are so on brand, are so just, it's so heavily 80s vibes, and it's very, very sick. It's everything about this makes a lot of sense. Great harmony stack. Hook again. Cool. I think the most minor gripe I have so far, and by gripe I mean just like a thing that's standing out to me, something about the mix or production choices for anything that's specifically guitar, not the keytar. Keytar sounded sick. The guitar doesn't quite sound like it's again, electric guitars are something that, especially with pop artists, in the nerdcore space, a lot of people don't mix as smoothly and fluidly as a lot of other instruments because there's a lot of distortion and there's a lot of tone differences that are hard to work with when you don't have as much experience with it as like electronic samples and things like that. So it's, I mean, again, 80s, it does fit that. For me, I would have liked to have maybe seen a little more smoothing out of the heavy guitars, but I mean, neither here nor there. Oh, the narrative. Oh, it's just Thriller now? Wow.
Shall be found by staff-bought hordes that roll around, must then escape the bunny's wrath, or rot inside a stomach hatch. The air is filled with pungent reek of robots oiled in pizza grease, and terrors bathed in neon light are on the hunt to grab a bite, or no amount of birthday cake.
Dude, getting the FNAF kids gatewaying them to Thriller is wild. Absolute Giga Chad behavior. Oh, a fade out. A fade out. Oh, so 80s. And again, this is nothing against the Stupendium. A trend I'm kind of glad did not last to this day. I am not a big fan of tracks fading out. It's like, because it feels like it's building up so much and it's just like fizzling out rather than, I love a big ending. I love a set ending. I love a hard ending. But either way, like, again, that's extremely common for this era that this song is emulating. Honestly, really sick. Amazing. Absolutely amazing job. Big old bravo. Really captured the 80s vibes while still keeping it somewhat modern. I mean, it's gonna feel modern when we have FNAF involved, but this was sick. This was dope. This is something I would love to see live. That'd be a really fun track to see performed on stage, full band. So very solid stuff. Amazing improvement. I see exactly what you mean. Stupendium crushed it, knocked it out of the park. Absolutely amazing.